This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Oh, finally, the After Party live on a Travel Tuesday. Thank you so much for hanging out and for your patience and being here. It'll be a challenging week because doing both shows and planning it all out and then trying to get it all together, it's a little bit interesting to see if I can pull it all off. By the end of the day, when both shows have actually happened, maybe not to the level that I would have wanted, but they're done, I still feel a sense of accomplishment. I was watching the chat earlier and I saw this from Sandy, who hopes that I read through the chat and that I do something about this horrible fellow that was in there. I don't know if it's the same person, but I will tell you, it's very hard to read the chats. You saw today that there weren't as many comments flashing up on the screen because I couldn't quite keep up with it all. But I did see that there were some rotten things the guy said, and so I blocked him. He's a goner. Yep, that's it. All of his comments were deleted from the show, and he has been deleted as well. Not to say he can't come up with a new username and try again, but sayonara, sucker. That's what we're doing. Thank you, Ricky O'Bear, for the lovely words. Says I'm doing a wonderful job. I appreciate that, and I hope that you're out doing something fun, and I will see you in the replays. Ricky does something every day that is so incredibly helpful. He'll come in after the fact, even if he's already watched the show, and he'll leave a little comment. It does something in the YouTube universe when someone comments and then I return the comment or click like on it or whatever, and it elevates it to then serve it up to other people. So whatever you're doing, Ricky, thank you for doing it, and I really appreciate it. Heather is right. It's hard for me to keep tabs on the chat when I'm doing more of an active role as far as having to speak and pay attention to the conversation. It does move a lot faster, and I do miss things. So thank you for being aware of it. And yes, Phineas, it is the day of the dolphin. I have a really interesting story. Do you wonder what dolphins have to say to us? Like, are they, they're smart. If we could communicate with them, how interesting would that be? We'll talk a little bit more about that. But before we really get into that, I did want to bring up this story, which is, I think we talked about it on the Mark Thompson show. Dolly. They're trying to name an airport after Dolly Parton. I know we don't get political on this show, and Dolly tries to keep it non-political as well. But there is a petition to rename an airport for Dolly Parton. They've had this petition being passed around, and it has now reached more than 50,000 signatures. I think they're up to 51,000 to change the name of the Nashville International Airport. There was an attempt to change it to Donald Trump Airport. No. So then a comedian, I think, it was a failed petition or a failed attempt to try to name it after Trump. So then a comedian and a record company label owner brought up this petition to name it the Dolly Parton Airport. I hope they do. They say Dolly's a great Tennessean and a great unifier who adds legitimacy to the South because her story resonates with everyone. Whether you're rich or poor or gay or straight, whether your ethnicity or whatever it is, your political affiliation, Dolly kind of crosses those barriers. And they say this: all people smile when they talk or think about Dolly Parton. She's the best of the South, and that alone, she says, is an achievement deserving of her reverence. Why do people like Dolly Parton? What is it about her? Whether or not you like country music or whether or not you like her music, there's something about her using her money for good to give free books to kids or putting money toward the COVID vaccine. Someone with oodles of money who just seems to do the right thing with it. But I think this is why people like Dolly Parton. I think you see her on talk shows and you see her, when she's performing and speaking before singing, she's obviously beautiful and talented and amazing, but she has this ability to connect with people and to and she does it sometimes in a way where she'll make fun of herself, poke fun at herself, and it kind of, I don't know, not want to say pops a balloon, but it does deflate her in a way where she kind of puts herself on our level, right? And she's not this big superstar that has had been a major star for decades and decades, and her stardom has survived with longevity. She is relatable because she's able to put herself at the same level and connect with people on a personal level. I think that's why people like Dolly Parton, because she feels like one of us. Anyway, I hope they name the airport after her. I think she's awesome. I'm seeing a lot of love for Dolly in the chat as well. I'll get to some of the chats. Yeah, she is a superstar. Dolly is a saint. Absolutely. Sandy likes her as an actor. She's been in a lot of good movies over the years. Is she? I know she hasn't. I don't think she's won an Oscar. And so I don't think she's an EGOT, but I know she's done a lot of different things over the years because she's kind. Yeah. Kindness, I think, is a part of it. That affects me a lot, but I do think it's an ability to connect with people by using that self-deprecating humor where she doesn't seem like she's so, full of herself and important. I don't know, but yeah, she's very, very kind. Makes these choices that are for everyone. She's one hot 75-year-old, says Rev P. She really is. Yeah. When I'm 75, I'm gonna look like that little old lady, not gonna look like Dolly Parton hot. That's true. 9 to 5, love that song. Yep. All right, let's move forward and talk about dolphins. I love dolphins. My son will often ask me random questions like, "What's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? What's your favorite ocean animal? What's your favorite land animal? What's your favorite fish?" Whatever. Dolphin. Always my answer. Favorite animal? Dolphin. Mhm. And now Google has made an AI model to talk to dolphins. It's a large language model and it's called Dolphin Gemma. It might, and I say might, allow us to converse with dolphins. It's scheduled to debut in the coming months. There are researchers testing it to see if Dolphin Gemma and its companion chat, it's called Chat, it stands for Cetacean Hearing Augmentation Telemetry. Cetacean Hearing Augmentation Telemetry, otherwise known as CHAT, can mimic some of the complex vocalizations of whales and dolphins. They say if it's successful, the breakthrough might represent the culmination of more than 4 decades worth of work, documentation, and conservation efforts. There have been people at this Wild Dolphin Project, WDP, the Wild Dolphin Project, for more than 40 years. They've been trying to decipher the dolphin communication clicks and language. They have decades worth of underwater audio from doing this and video that they've been looking at a specific community, a single community of Atlantic spotted dolphins in the Bahamas. And because of this, the researchers at the Wild Dolphin Project have been able to correlate sounds with certain behavioral tendencies, like unique names or fights or courtships. So they think that they can then place these communications depending on what was happening with the dolphins at the time. We have lacked the technology advanced enough to really figure out dolphin language and to mimic it as well with the whistles and the clicks and the burst pulses that the dolphins emit. But with the rise of these large language models, researchers think they can maybe apply this to dolphin interactions. So the WDP folks, the Wild Dolphin Project folks, recently partnered with Google and the Georgia Institute of Technology, and they gave the engineers all of the data set of the dolphin whistles and clicks for the large language model training. And that is what is in Dolphin Gemma from Google. It's this AI model that was built using the same technology that runs the Gemini systems that Google does. It was designed, Dolphin Gemma, on 400 million parameters to function the same way as predictive large language models like ChatGPT, except for dolphins. It first receives and interprets the audio inputs and then predicts subsequent sounds for recreation. It's then partnered with a chat system installed on modified Google Pixel smartphones. It's not designed to fully translate a dolphin's natural language, but to help humans convey and establish a more simplified shared vocabulary. So it's teaching the people that work at the WDP a series of synthetic whistles with their favorite objects like seagrass, researchers' scarves, what have you. And over time, the experts are hopeful that the dolphins will learn to request desired items when they want to play. So, still a lot of work before we're able to look at a dolphin and, find out what it's thinking. But baby steps for communication with this large language model, this is a step closer to getting there before we know, I guess we can become partners on the earth and actually figure out. You wonder what a dolphin would have to say to humans, like, stop messing up the sea. We're done with your plastic and your trash. It's a little warm in here. Could you guys stop driving around and polluting the atmosphere? If a dolphin could speak to a human and really let us have it, I wonder what that conversation would sound like. I don't know. Gordon says whale family groups have different sounds they make. This is true. I would argue if they're able to do it with a dolphin, though, whales probably aren't that far off. First thing they find out with the dolphin is saying, more fish. Yeah, stop trapping me in your tuna net. That's a good one. The clicks are for echolocation, says Gordon. We're about to figure it out. John says, what if dolphins have more than one language? Humans have like 5,000 languages. Could be. Maybe there's a different dolphin dialects. I guess we'll figure it out. Heather knows exactly what they're saying. Sandy says, I've often wondered, or I've always wondered, what the dolphins are saying. They're supposed to be more intelligent than humans. Right. Phineas says, if we learn to talk to dolphins, then can we ask dolphins to talk or communicate to other animals for us? Well, it depends on whether dolphins can talk to other animals. We don't know that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. My name is not Flipper. I think they would have a lot to say to us if they're so smart about what we're doing to the environment. But maybe that's me getting political. My bad. I'm sorry. All right, let's talk about the mini ice age. This is an interesting story. I think this is an interesting story about do I have that I yes, I think I have it. No? Did I not have it? Oh. Oh yeah, I have it. Okay. Sorry. I was trying to move it over from yesterday and I thought I had failed. Uh and I might have actually failed. No, I didn't. Ancient rocks are tying the Roman Empire's collapse to a mini ice age. Why did Rome fall? Was it due to weather? There's an article in Popular Science saying that a climate shift may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. We don't know exactly what caused the Roman Empire to fall. A lot of debate over that. Their economy, maybe societal decay, another thing mentioned in the article, political conflicts, lead. I mean, it's all over the map, right? But recent research suggests that a brief climate crisis may have played a bigger role than we actually thought. They published this study April 11th in the journal Geology. Study done by a team from Queen's University, Canada, the University of Southampton in the UK, and the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. So previous analysis indicated the Earth went through about a 200 to 300 year long ice age starting around 540 CE. And that's when scientists say that these powerful volcanic eruptions were spewing massive amounts of ash and debris into the atmosphere, lowering global temperatures, reducing sunlight. It wasn't as intense as other ice ages, but some researchers say that this geologic era helped usher in the final days of Rome. Others say it just coincided with it. Didn't really play a big role. But there's new evidence supporting that it did play a role from out of place rocks collected from modern areas of the ancient Roman Empire, and also not from there, but also in Iceland, which is primarily known for basalt. But researchers determined certain samples contained minuscule crystals of the mineral zircon, which are called time capsules by scientists that preserve vital information like when they crystallized and what their compositional characteristics were. The researchers say the combination of age and chemical composition allows them to fingerprint currently exposed regions of the Earth's surface, like being a forensic geologist. So after they crushed the rocks and separated out the zircon crystals, they figured out that the minerals spanned 3 billion years of geologic history, traced specifically back to Greenland. The fact that the rocks come from nearly all geological regions of Greenland provides evidence of their glacial origins. As glaciers move, they erode the landscape, breaking up rocks from different areas, carrying them along, creating a chaotic, diverse mixture, some of which ends up stuck in the ice. The team is saying that this zircon-rich ice could have formed and drifted hundreds of miles away due to this late antique little ice age. That's what they call it. The LALIA, late antique little ice age. And the timing lines up with a period of ice rafting, where large slabs of ice broke off of glaciers, drifted across the ocean, and then scattered the debris on foreign shores. So they can't tie the zircon minerals to the Roman Empire's collapse, but they say their lengthy migration inside frozen chunks of glacier underscores the severity of that mini ice age, and that it may have had an effect on crops, civil unrest, mass migrations, which could have shaken Rome as it was already kind of weak. So when it comes to the fall of the Roman Empire, the climate shift, they say, may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Like that on top of everything else was like, yeah, what are we doing here? It's an interesting theory. And I mean, you look at all the different theories again with lead, right? Political unrest, all of these things. It's an interesting thought. You may have heard and seen, it feels like you can't get away from it right now, all of the stories about Coachella. What's going on there? We saw Bernie Sanders was on the stage, right? Every time we turn around, there's another story about what's happening at Coachella. But did you know that, kind of like Burning Man, there's a whole art thing that goes along with Coachella? It's pretty interesting. They have large-scale artwork installed for the 2025 Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. There are 3 new installations by prominent architects and designers that have been installed throughout the grounds to accompany all the musical acts. So there's interesting things to look at along with the music. They serve as objects of interaction for the festival goers, and these giant pieces of art can be seen across the site. The art this year, I think it's pretty interesting. Some of it has been made from items repurposed from art installations of the past. Many of the structure's elements reused or relocated after the art fair part in an effort to make the event more sustainable. So this year, we got some interesting ones. Here's a piece of art. It's called Take Flight. And this is one of the art installations that the festival goers are seeing this year. Who knows? Maybe Mark is standing in front of this right now. Again, it's called Take Flight. There's a lot to look at and see with this one. Here it is, Take Flight. Look at all those moving parts and pieces and flowers rising into the sky. So that's pretty cool. It's a towering installation informed by early 19th century flying machines. It's 60 feet tall, covered by colorful turbines powered by the wind, the multifaceted windmill, a reference to the smaller scale work done by the designer. And it's meant to be worn by people to generate energy. That's the smaller things they do. But so this is kind of a riff on that. I like it, but not as much as this one. It amuses me. It's called Le Grand Bouquet, and it's kind of, I don't know, it almost looks like it could be on the set of a Hello Kitty movie. Like, it's that kind of cartoonish looking, but that it's just kind of out in this open field as art. I don't know, something draws me to the big puffy nature of Le Grand Bouquet. And there it is. These inflatable flowers. This is from a studio in Paris, known for its colorful interior projects. They made what they're calling a playful art installation based on flower power motifs of the 1960s and early 70s. It's all centered by a 32-foot tall piece with green painted metal stems topped with inflatable flowers and several smaller ones surrounding it, you can see here. And around the base of the central bouquet are tiered seating elements painted a similar shade to the flowers. So you can sit there and hang out under these massive flowers. This one, we started off with this one, it's called Taffy. And Taffy is done by a designer out of Canada. Automatically, you win because we owe Canada everything right now. It's a way of apologizing. Here you go, Canada, take the win. It's an installation made up of 7 cylinders. The tallest is about 50 feet tall. The the designer says, it's informed by the colorways of mid-century desert modernism. These towers have scalloped facades made of mesh. Window benches are woven, you can see them underneath there, woven underneath the material and the metal legs of the towers. So you can pass through, have a seat, hang out for a little while, maybe get out of the sun. The hollow towers were designed to interact with the sun during different times of the day. So that's pretty cool. I like it. So we've got Taffy, we have Le Grand Bouquet, and then we have Take Flight. Which do you like the best? Or do you judge art on which one you like the best? Sipping coffee in Coachella, says Cameo. Sipping coffee in Coachella, sitting underneath Le Grand Bouquet, right? Sandy likes the inflatable flowers. I kind of am drawn to those the most as well, although I do like the windmill nature of this. I don't know. Yeah. My favorite, says Sandy, is Le Grand Bouquet, followed by Taffy, followed by Take Flight, but they're all cool. I think so too. I didn't realize Liz likes the flowers as well. I didn't realize, sorry, cough break, that that Coachella was kind of Burning Man-ish in the way that they embrace art like this. I thought it was just the music festival. I didn't know there was another piece of this pie, so that's pretty cool. Donald looking at his turkey outside his window. That's his art. Tammy doesn't have a favorite, likes them all. Chris likes the Take Flight that we're looking at right here. Yeah, Take Flight. It's almost like we're at Burning Man together on this Travel Tuesday. Look at that. Yeah, there's something about those Hello Kitty style flowers. I don't know. This is pretty cool too. I like the seating underneath where you can just hang out under the art. And I love the background. Look at the Palm Springs, at the mountains and the palm trees in the background. Really cool. Okay, let us move on because let's see what I have next for you. Ah, yes, The green comet. This is cool. It's apparently visible with the naked eye. The green comet is coming. I have to get up early and check this out. This newly discovered, brilliantly green comet is supposedly dazzling astronomers. It's not very sexy, C 2025 F2, also known as Swan. And they think it's going to keep getting brighter as it approaches the sun. And that if you are in the northern hemisphere and you have a pair of binoculars, you can spot it in the early morning skies. It's a glowing green comet, and as it swings around the sun, getting brighter and brighter. And it's, yeah, early morning hours, backyard gear like a small telescope or binocular, and you'll be able to see it. This one is named Swan after a camera aboard the Solar and Heliospheric Observation, or SOHO spacecraft, which first detected this comet. There's an Australian amateur astronomer who noticed the comet in Swan's images in late March. And according to Earth Sky, it was then independently discovered by another astronomer in Ukraine. And since then, there have been a number of photographers who have captured really cool pictures of this green comet or swan. They say a new comet is always exciting. They appear unexpectedly, they're quite beautiful, and they tell us a lot about our solar system and how the planets formed. This, according to Paul Weigert, he's an astronomer at the University of Western Ontario in Canada. He says, it's sort of a beautiful addition to our springtime sky. And it has become brighter as it approaches what's called the perihelion. This should be a trivia question. What is perihelion? The closest point to the sun in its orbit. That happens on May 1st. And if it continues to brighten, this comet might become visible to the naked eyeball. The forecast of this is difficult, so they aren't sure, but it remains possible that this comet could break apart when it nears the sun, but they say really only time will tell, and they expect it to get brighter because it's necessarily not because it's getting more solar heat and being more active and producing more gases that they can see, but because of our geometry relative to this comet, because we're going to get closer to it. And so all of those details are going to work in the comet's favor. So they're hoping that it's going to get quite a bit brighter over the next month or so. This glowing bright green comet, Swan, is the result of diatomic carbon being ejected from the comet's surface. And the sunlight destroys the diatomic carbon in the comet's coma, which is the reason one never sees a comet with a green tail. But evidently, there's a lot of dust particles being ejected from this comet's surface because the dust tail isn't very bright or wide. So, it's interesting. I'm kind of excited to possibly see it. Oh. According to space.com, if you're a stargazer and you've got your binoculars or your telescope in the northern hemisphere, you'll be able to spot this comet shortly before sunrise along the northeastern horizon through April 25th. After that, Swan will be visible after sunset on the west-northwest horizon, likely disappearing after May 5th. And the comet should become visible in the southern hemisphere around May 4th. So if you're trying to catch a glimpse of this comet, they say it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. A swan orbits the sun once every 1.4 million years, though it's not coming back anytime soon. So if you're interested in seeing Swan, that's how it's going to play out. I love this picture. And so many people have been trying to get pictures of this thing. I think it's really interesting. I would love to see that. I never have luck. I always try to go out there. I've dragged my son, who loves astronomy, dragged him out, woken him up in the middle of the night trying to see something interesting, and it's always too cloudy or foggy, or we never see it. And we think we might see something, but then we're seeing things in the sky that aren't really there because we just want to see it so badly. Yeah, no, I'll probably never see the green comet. But if you do, please take a picture and send it to me because I'm fascinated. I really want to see the green comet. And we talk about this biomass mission. There is a new satellite that is going to map our rainforest. They're going to map the carbon content of rainforests from space. It's launching this month. Thanks to the European Space Agency, they've got a probe called Biomass, and they're going to have it up and looking for 5 years, orbiting the planet and gathering this radar imagery of forests across multiple continents. They've been working on this thing for 10 years. So they're preparing now to launch this satellite that will map the carbon content of the world's rainforests. It's named Biomass. It was recently shipped to French Guiana. It's slated to lift off from Europe's spaceport April 29th aboard a Vega C rocket. And then for the next 5 years, if all goes well, the spacecraft will be orbiting the Earth and monitoring forests above ground biomass. So, trunks, large branches, the height of trees in Africa, Asia, South America. They're going to take these measurements with the help of a first of its kind radar, and that they think can then serve as a proxy for tracking stored carbon. Effectively, the mission, what it will do, according to a physicist with the leader of the biomass science team, is weigh the forests in its studies. We've never done that before. Weigh the forest? Yes. Sean Wagan, the leader of the biomass science team, says we know half that weight must be made up of carbon. So we're going to be able to weigh the carbon content of the world's tropical forests from space and crucially work out how much these are changing over time. And then, he says, we will know the balance of carbon that is flowing to and from the atmosphere. And that, he says, is enormously important. Forests sequester, just alone, a quarter of human generated carbon emissions a year. But their ability to be able to store carbon is getting weaker because, of course, of deforestation, environmental degradation. There was a study done in 2020 that found rainforests could take up 1/3 less carbon in the 2010s than in the 1990s. So knowing for sure is pretty cool. This new biomass probe will allow scientists to understand exactly how carbon levels are fluctuating and then teach scientists more about the carbon cycle and the map areas of deforestation. I think what it'll show is that we need to leave our rainforests alone, let them thrive. They're part of having a healthy planet. One of the directors of the European Space Agency's Earth observation program told The Observer, we need to know the details of the health of our tropical forests. We need to know the quality and the diversity of the vegetation and the amount of carbon stored there. That to get that information, we're going to create 3D images of them from the top of the forest canopy to the roots of the trees. Now, there's not a lot of sunlight that reaches the floor of a tropical rainforest, but this space-based probe is supposed to be able to image all the way to the ground because it'll carry a new P-band synthetic aperture radar, which is a new imaging system that's never been used by a satellite before. So I'm hoping it works. The radar signals sent by the instrument can penetrate through the dense forest canopies and visualize what's below. The biomass pushes the boundaries of remote sensing advancing our understanding of global forests and carbon cycles, but demonstrating the transformative potential of space-based innovation in tackling the most pressing environmental challenges on the Earth. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay. It looks like a giant robot. So I love this picture because it's a great visualization of the measuring of the trees, of looking at specific chunks of rainforest. But here's what this cool looking probe uh, looks like. And I think it looks like a kind of like a giant, scary robot, even though I know that's not what it really is. And I don't know, have they covered it in like some kind of giant orange fabric? I don't know. That's what it looks like. It's going to blast off. So they had it showcased in France before it was shipped off. That's what it looks like. The hope is that this satellite and the capabilities will be able to be used in other research areas as well, like maybe the structure and motion of ice sheets, creating models of other areas covered by dense vegetation. In dry areas, perhaps it could peer underground aquifers. Perhaps it could create new climate change and carbon cycle models by integrating with artificial intelligence. So the researchers say it'll tell us what's likely to happen in the future. It'll tell us what we're up against. And then you take that data and you use it to make decisions on forest management, on climate mitigation, on all of these things. So they've just finished fueling this giant robot satellite, and they're going to launch it April 29th. And they're really proud of it. I hope it works like they say it's going to work. This is pretty cool. So that's the biomass satellite, which is, I think, fascinating. Have you heard that on May 4th, you're able to, may the 4th be with you. You're able to go, if you're thinking of getting married, you can go and finally have the wedding of your dreams. That would be a Star Wars wedding. On May the 4th. You can go get it done. There's a Las Vegas chapel offering Star Wars themed weddings on May the 4th. That's when they're celebrating Star Wars Day. And they've got a pair of themed wedding packages just for you. The Little Vegas Chapel, they previously did Star Wars themed weddings last year. They say couples who want to tie the knot in a galaxy far, far away can choose from 2 packages. One is called Yoda One for Me. Get it? Yoda One for Me. And one is called Love Star. That's so nice. Yeah. The Yoda One for Me is $860. You get a Star Wars ceremony. You could choose. You could have it performed by Princess Leia or Darth Vader. A custom Star Wars music experience, round-trip limo services, a Unity sand ceremony, a large Star Wars-inspired bouquet. I kind of want that. A boutonniere, a professional photography session, video recording of the ceremony, a Star Wars-inspired wedding certificate, and a marriage license holder. You get fuzzy dice. Oh, who could turn away from this? And accommodations for up to 18 guests. The cheaper option, the Love Star, is $600. You get Princess Leia or Darth Vader as the officiant. You get the Star Wars music. You get the Star Wars bouquet as well, so that's nice to know. You get some pictures and digital images, and they'll give you a witness if you need it. You get all the things, but there you go. Intergalactic wedding packages are supposed to offer Star Wars fans a chance to celebrate their love with a touch of the Force on this special day. I mean, why not, right? If you're going to get married and you're just going to go to Vegas and do it, why not have a little fun with it? I think. This is something I wanted to play you. I've been saving this story for a little bit. And it is about and I didn't know we had one of these, a national recording registry. We're saving sounds. And the new sounds, the nominations, there were 2,600 nominations submitted by the public, and the Library of Congress has selected 25 songs, albums, and sounds that are at least 10 years old that they want to preserve for all of posterity, uh, or for posterity, I should say. And here is one of the here you go. Here's one of the sounds they're preserving. We needed to have this sound preserved, right? And there it is. That's now in our sound. Yeah, that's really loud. So that's one of the sounds being preserved. Here it is, a picture of the windows. That's kind of cool. I guess I just didn't realize that we had that we have this national recording registry. There's so much in here. So some of the other things that are being preserved as the sounds of America and part of our history and part of our culture. This evolving playlist of America include Chicago's debut album from 1969 called Chicago Transit Authority. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans' 1952 single Happy Trails is going in. Elton John's 1973 album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is going in, and so is Mary J. Blige's 1994 album My Life. The oldest selection on this year's list is a recording from 1913 of the song Aloha Oe by the Hawaiian Quintet, which was written in the 19th century by Liliuokalani, princess and later queen of the Hawaiian kingdom. The newest artwork, that was the oldest. The newest this year going in is the original Broadway cast album for the musical Hamilton. It just made the 10-year cutoff in order to be considered. Pardon me for coughing. So, yeah, there's some cool things going in there this year, I think. Every piece of art that is made is both deemed timeless by the Library of Congress and also a product of its time, according to Lin-Manuel Miranda. He said to listen to these recordings, to go back as far as the turn of the century, the beginning of recorded sound to the present, is to hear points on a timeline, he says. It's to time travel. I feel incredibly honored that Hamilton is a point in that timeline. What a wise thing to say. When you hear a recording, an old recording of something, doesn't it feel almost like you're back there in time with them? Another new piece that they're putting into the pile is Minecraft Volume Alpha. It's the soundtrack album for the 2011 version of the popular video game. It's only the second video game recording to be selected for the registry. Super Mario Brothers went in 2023. So, pretty cool. Yeah. Minecraft going in, Hamilton going in, Aloha Oe is going in, the Windows sound is going in. There are some other well-known albums entering the archive. Steve Miller Band's Fly Like an Eagle, Amy Winehouse's Back to Black. So there's some good stuff going in. Helen Reddy's I Am Woman. Freddie Fender's Before the Next Teardrop Falls. So the broadcast of the final game of the 1960 World Series between the Yankees and the Pirates. Yeah. All selected by people nominated and then selected by the Library of Congress. And I guess you could argue the Windows sound is a point in our timeline, which so is the sound of a modem. So is the sound of, the turning on of an iPhone. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Oh no. Oh, it's late. Is it too late to go traveling? It might be too late to go traveling. All right, let me do this story because we won't travel today on Travel Tuesday. We kind of traveled to Coachella, so I guess we could argue that. I wanted to really wanted to play this video for you. about this, it's another art story. It's an art installation where you can bend light as if light were a curtain that you could put your hand in and push. Pretty cool, right? Here, let me show you this video. We'll travel. How about we travel to the light? Not the light inside the body. No, not that. Check this out. And again, this comes from Dazzling magazine. So you can see that art installation is called Making the Invisible Visible. And these people are walking into these tubes of light and moving the light with their fingers. I'll play it again. You can see the light is almost like a shower around people, and they can stick their hand in it and ripple the light. That's pretty cool to be able to move light in such a way. Yeah. Yeah. How did they do it? What are they doing? I I don't exactly know how it works, but this is a collaboration between an artist and Google. It's called The Invisible Visible, and it's installed at Milan Design Week, and it's supposed to be part of an immersive installation of mist and lasers that allow the visitors here to move light as if they were sweeping back curtains. The Invisible Visible installation also includes some other things uh, that they're displaying, but I just thought this was pretty cool to be able to move light with your fingers like that. It may be that I'm easily entertained. That's a possibility. But I'd be interested in sticking my fingers in a bunch of light. Who knows what good it would do? Here's another picture of it. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. The installation was meant to explore art and design, acts of alchemy, bringing ideas to life. They are looking at how water and light can combine to make something appear solid even when it isn't. That's why the mist and the light. So they have these 6-foot wide fixtures suspended from the ceiling in a dark room with lasers and concave parabolic mirrors helping project the light below. Then the room was filled with mist so that the light glinting off the mirror didn't just fall onto the floor, but also onto the minuscule water particles hanging in the air. And that's what creates the impression of this light curtain. The curtains were still until the moment that sensors detected a person walking underneath or waving their hand through the light. And at that point, they wobbled or moved as if they were made of solid material. They say the effect was achieved using proprietary software and a heightened that was heightened through the use of sound triggered by the motion detection. Google described it as blurring the boundaries between the tangible and the intangible. I describe it as pretty cool. I know. Just to be able to get in there and play with light. I would imagine it's very misty, and by the time you leave, you feel like you just got off of the log ride at Disneyland, that you've I'll use the word moist, you're probably very moist. But how cool to be able to stick your hand in light like that, like a look at her, like it's a curtain and just push it right back. I know. I told you, I'm easily entertained, right? They say that visitors that went and did this were gleeful. Some of them danced below the light to see how it would respond. This is all based on outdoor artwork that can only be experienced at twilight. And this installation does the same thing, but indoors. Took them about a year of engineering and prototyping and doing it over and over again until they were able to achieve this type of effect. So they say seeing all 6 of these light tubes, what do I call them? Look at all of them, light tubes. They say it's a dream come true. So they look like columns. The beauty is when you push and pull, you hear sounds and the shape changes. Making the invisible visible was at the Milan Design Week, and it's gone. That's it. Maybe they'll put it up somewhere else. I love when it's a marriage of art and design and technology. That's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Okay, I think we'll end it. I have another story, but I'll save it for tomorrow. It's about a symptom of anxiety that we don't talk enough about, and I don't want to end things on a down note, so we'll push that one. But I want to thank you for your patience, for hanging out with me, and for your always lovely words and support. A huge, huge thank you to Jane O, who not only contributed today to the Mark Thompson show, but also throws down a 20 for this show as well, which is very needed this month to keep this show going. It's been a little slow going. Thank you, Kim. Always something new to check out at the After Party Live. Jane O, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it very much. Thank you for being here for Day of the Dolphin as well. That was fun. And for the nice words. You guys are awesome. I'll see you tomorrow on the Mark Thompson show. David K. Johnston will come through, a Pulitzer Prize winner, so we'll talk politics. And I don't have a co-host tomorrow, so come help me out. Put some good stuff up in the chat. I'm gonna need you guys. And then we'll be here for Waterfall Wednesday here on the After Party Live. So go out there, make it the very best rest of your Tuesday that you can, and I'll see you tomorrow back here on the YouTube. But for now, bye-bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.